Dice, let's go and round. Round and round they go. Where they stop? 1 to 2, that looks like it's going to be a 3. Dahlia's turn to roll the dice, and we have... Ooh, much bigger number than 3 there. Let's see if Dahlia is going first or second. Nice friendly handshake. All right. So we're right. We are seeing some branded on one side, and you can definitely see the Labyrinth trap cards and their friends on the right side. If you're unfamiliar with Labyrinth, it's a relatively newer deck, but it's been seeing a lot of play over the last year. Let's go ahead and discard our fantastic Labyrinth cards. That Lava Golem being a fiend in there is quite good, and you can actually see there's multiple Lava Golems in there. Let's go ahead and grab what we need. It's going to be Welcome Labyrinth. Or is it? Still thinking about... Ah, there we go. Okay, there is our set. Little shuffle and cut here. Taking a quick look at the hand. Looks like I saw an Ash Blossom there. Always good. Setting it. I think that might have been a Gozen match on the very far side there. So it'll be difficult for Brandon to bounce between their light and dark attributes. But we do see 6 cards on the left side, so it is already Thomas's turn, ready to show us what Fallen of Elbaz and friends are capable of. Looks like we're seeing the branded dragon itself do what it does best. And it's going to send that branded retribution to the graveyard and place itself on the bottom of the deck. However, trap card time. It's Welcome Labyrinth. It's fun how many fiends that we have gotten to see. Not always the strongest archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or subtype, I should say. But Ariana, the Labyrinth Servant, gonna go ahead and grab Miss Silver Castle herself, the lovely Labyrinth Lady. She'll be placed in defense mode on the field. Kind of an incredible card there. Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. Originally introduced in Tactical Masters, but again, it's only been about a year since it's come out. So not everybody is as familiar with that. Oh, excuse me, that's Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. Now I can see it a little better. And it's so good. Again, while you control a set card, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, and it cannot be destroyed by card effects. And if a Labyrinth card or normal trap card was activated this turn, of course you can special summon it from your hand in defense position. So that's how it ended up on the field. Looks like we're going to see a Luber with that fusion deployment. Or excuse me, Albaz. Fallen of Elbaz becoming a fan favorite pretty fast. But when every set had a little bit of a support for it, it's hard to, well, not bring up fans. All right, our Labyrinth adventures continue. Gonna go ahead and target our monster there. Might be hearing a little bit of background noise there. It looks like our round 5 is going to start at 3 p.m. exactly. So, of course, setting a trap card. Taking another look at that lady. She is lovely. Well, not technically, but you know what I mean. All right, looks like we're going to be special summoning our Stovey Torby in defense mode. A Stovey Torby does allow you to send it from the hand or the field to the graveyard, discarding a card, and allowing you to set either a Labyrinth spell or trap from your hand or deck. So just more Labyrinth stuff, right? Colloquially referred to by some of the greatest Labyrinth players as furniture. I mean, it is a stove. But it does look like we will be doing a fusion summon here. Because the fusion summon doesn't target, you can go ahead and pick what monsters you want once the effect resolves. We're using a dark monster, an Albaz. So it looks like we're going to cut in line Let's see what this concoction can create by banishing some fusion materials. Activating its effect. Any chains here? It looks like we are going to chain. Fearing ourselves out with the Chandragalier. Special summoning it to the field. Of course, if you're unfamiliar with the effect, remember while it's in your graveyard, if a monster leaves the field by a normal track card effect, you can add it to your hand. Then it has another quick effect allowing you to send it from your hand or field to the graveyard to discard a card and set another Labyrinth spell or trap. So just Labrynth doing Labyrinth stuff. And there's that Gozen match. It's going to make it pretty difficult. Locks you into lights. Even if you be removing those materials from the field, you are still locked into light. But it appears we're going to chain Branded Fusion. Perhaps changing which attribute we want to use. Or is that Branded Red? Yes, that's Branded Red. Hard to see with that little light overhead. Oh, there we go. Made it easier for both Dahlia and myself to see. It's definitely Branded Red. Going to special summon a monster and perhaps do some fusions. So adding from a graveyard to her hand, Fallen of a Boss, and then fusing. One material from the field and two materials from the hand. Is that a Guardian Chimera? It is a Guardian Chimera. As you're aware, Guardian Chimera will allow you to draw cards equal to the number of materials from your hand that you sent for the fusion summon, and destroy cards equal to the number of cards you sent from the field for the fusion summon. A lot of chain links happening here. Going to end up with a Mirror Jade, who, by the way, is a dark monster. This was all in the same chain. Remember the Gozen match originally to the fusing effect of that Albaz fusion. But before you knew it, everybody was dark. Now in a new chain, it's going to be time to draw. As you see, Thomas's hand is still pretty low. Probably explain the effect now, that he's about to destroy and draw two. Oh, but he's about to do none of the sort because Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is going to stop that effect because it does include a draw. Now, not necessarily a bad field on Thomas's side, but certainly limited because there's not really a lot more push other than the card that he has in his hand. On the right side, I mean, it doesn't take much for Labyrinth to get going, and it's supposed to control the tempo of the duel. So, Guardian Chimera will attack. Mirror Jade will hit directly. And beep, 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 we're at 5,000 life points. Little dual disc noises for you anime fans at home. Contemplating those quick effects in the hand. Chandragalier. Remember, you can send that from the hand or field to the graveyard and discard a card to set another card. But perhaps not activating it, maybe just showing it across the table just to be like, hey, what does that do? Are going to go ahead and send and banish. Let's go ahead and banish our Branded Retribution. Say hello to Brandon Red again. And end phase, I guess going in the deck there. Looks like a branded opening was searched. Oh, maybe not the end phase after all. We're going to use branded opening, discarding that Branded Red. Used to be quite the hot card before it was reprinted. Still great, but no longer a $25 super rare on the secondary market, that's for sure. Looks like Guiding Quem the Virtuous is here. Guiding Quem the Virtuous is going to do what she does best, but it's still possible for us to activate additional effects here. Remember, that's what Labyrinth is all about. But again, we saw Guiding Quem earlier, but again, if it's normal summon or special summon, you can target a Fallen of a Boss or card that mentions it from your deck and send it to your graveyard. And if a card leaves the extra deck, you can target a Fallen Robaz or monster that mentions it in your graveyard and special summon that. A lot of synergy there. It's good to see a Luber back on the field. The Jester of Despia. He who remains at the end of the plot. No spoilers, but you might want to check your card art on Cyberstorm Access. Dahlia's been pensive, holding on to those quick effects, trying not to activate them just yet. Maybe thinking about the next turn more so than this one. Drew for turn, and wow, what a draw. It is Book of Eclipse. Gives Dahlia the ability to set all cards on the field face down. Of course, the opponent's monsters will be flipped up at the end of the turn, and one draw for each. Great quick play spell card, though. Good for dodging stuff, good for baiting negates, and great against Kashtira. Good main deck play for that reason. Dahlia talking out some of the effects here, probably, figuring out what to be done next. Going to go ahead and discard that Chandraglier, say goodbye to the Book of Eclipse. Gorgeous normal rare copy, by the way. You don't see that often. It's been reprinted a number of times, common, super, etc. But I can't remember the last time I saw the Book of Eclipse normal. We're going to send another one of those Labyrinth traps face down the field. Ah, there we go. Looks like the lovely lady of the Silver Castle is here again. Still figuring out what we are doing on this side. Looks like we want to go ahead and grab our Welcome Labyrinth, set it face down the field with our effect, and special summon Sobi Torby. Back in action, ready to cook with the best of them. And just like that, what a full field again. Facing down only in a Luber in defense position. Just goes to show you that Labyrinth, while it may be a trap control deck, it's not a slow trap control deck. It gets in there. Something up there with the likes of Altergeist at its prime, although Altergeist got a bunch of brand new cards, so somebody out there right at this regional might be piloting it to victory. Hopefully we can catch them when we can. Quick look at the extra deck. Seems like we're going to go ahead and send some monsters. Notice that there was no tuner. That's actually the effect of that Synchro monster, to have that summoning condition of just using Light and Darks. Taking a quick look here, but may not play anything more. It seems like we're all dark. No questions here. We're going to take a quick cut of the deck. Drawing for turn. Looks like we have a branded Lost. So a lot of great cards here. Some of the best spell cards in the game. Literally in Thomas's hand. But with that many trap cards, could be troublesome. Looks like we're going to do Welcome Labyrinth, meaning we're going to special summon another Labyrinth monster from the deck. Taking a look at the deck here. Some great control options, by the way. Peep that skill drain. All right. The next card cometh. It's Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. Great card from Darkwing Blast. Remember the first time I played against it, I was like, wait, what? Wait, what? It can be a conflating card with its inability to be targeted while you control set cards in a deck that is all about setting cards. Speaking of those set cards, it looks like we have a Dimensional Barrier. It is the perfect main deck trap card we've been talking about throughout the tournament here. Activate that one of, and that is game. Thomas scooping up his cards, and we're going to go ahead and go to game 2. Huh? All right, let's see. Is Thomas going first or second? You might want to go second. You might think you can clean Labyrinth's clock, since it does have a clock after all. All right, take a look at the hand. We've got evenly matched. I see a Blazing Cartesia. We're going to start this duel out pretty much the same way we did last time. Send that branded Retribution to the graveyard. And then after the deck is shuffled, go ahead and place it on the bottom. Not to be seen, well, at least for a moment. Drawing a card. Got some good stuff in there for sure, but we're going to start off with our Cartesia. Any response on the opposing end? Really thinking about it. Dahlia didn't end up doing anything, though. We're going to go ahead and see the branded Despia. So Fusion Summon for Grand Wignall again. Go ahead and call the chain links out. Sounded like Grand Wignall going first. And branded Despia going second. Going to add from the deck to the hand Labyrinth. And then searching through that deck once more to send Bestial Saronir to the graveyard. Bestial Saronir has its own effect when sent to the graveyard. That's going to be to send that branded Fusion to the graveyard. Interesting. Must have some sort of recursive strategy set up this turn. Definitely going to see it back. And there we go. Banish Branded Retribution, target Branded Fusion, and we just searched Branded Fusion out of the deck. One of the strongest cards in Duel Monsters. Almost looks like a ghost rare from this art. All right, so we're going to do it. There's Fallen of Elbaz. This is one of the fusion materials. And the next material, oh, I saw the Mercurier. No, it's going to be the Bestial Lubellion. All right, we do have a Dark Dragon on the field. You could tribute it for the Bestial Lubellion, but it sounds like we're going to use the fusion effect instead. Going to go ahead and get rid of Elbaz and Bestial Saronir. Those are going to be banished. Okay, Lubellion is back in dragon form. Going to go ahead and discard that Labyrinth of Despia. Get back the Fallen of Elbaz, returning those materials to the deck to make Mirror Jade. All right, Icebrand Dragon fans. That's a lot of fusions. Some of them are dark. Still could bring out that Bestial Lubellion. Don't have to, though. No wrong answers. Take a look at the graveyard. Putting that Lubellion on top. May still want to just go straight in. Yep. Saving the Bestial Magnamut in the hand. Makes sense. We do have light and dark monsters in the Labyrinth deck, which do have effects that activate in the graveyard. Don't think the Magnamut's probably what we needed to worry about right now, but we'll see if that ends up biting Thomas in the back if he chooses not to. Although he might just want to put out that branded Bestial first. Or excuse me, branded Regained. So you can banish a card now, special summon his Magnamut, and then return it to the deck. That banished card with the effect of branded Regained to draw one more card. Really powerful setup card. Just makes Bestials like a whole deck unto itself. Right now, it's just serving as a supporting actor in this Elbaz storyline. Looks like we're going to end up setting branded in red. Dahlia still seeming in good spirits. Ready to start her turn shortly. Talking a few effects out here, but yes, it is Dahlia's turn. Drawing, didn't quite see. Judge had a little pointer there. Just making sure we got all our cards here. It's branded red, which set off the effects. Still Dahlia's turn. Great Labyrinth hand, but it's not necessarily as straightforward as playing a fusion deck, right? You have to, well, combo your cards one after the other instead of just going, I fuse. It's like the Labyrinth is here. It's a great field spell. Probably one of the better ones in Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe just because of that last effect. Remember that if you activate a Set Welcome Labyrinth normal trap, which includes Big Welcome Labyrinth, you add this additional effect, you know, after that, destroy one card in the field. Unless you're playing against Unchained, that's usually going to feel pretty good. Do have some set cards, so here is Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. Fine friend from Darkwing Blast. Although it did get reprinted relatively recently, I want to say maybe a month or two ago in Battles of Legend Monsters Revenge. Taking a look at that field spell too, making sure he is aware. Thomas knows that he might end up having some cards destroyed. It also allows you that when you activate a non-Labyrinth normal trap card, special summon a Fiend monster from your hand or graveyard. So just cycling through that engine, that's really what this deck does and how it holds so tightly. Looks like we're going to activate Welcome Labyrinth, though. So remember, this Welcome Labyrinth is not just going to do its own effect. It will also destroy a card on the field. But before that, we're going to chain. We're going to get rid of our clock in the graveyard. Sorry, Labyrinth Coup Clock. We do not get to be your guest. Be your guest. Going to go ahead and chain Branded Red. Put that spell card to the test. Adding Labrynth back from the graveyard to the hand. And fusing. Ooh, okay. We're going to go for the Guardian Chimera again. You can tell because some of the materials from the hand, some from the field. There it is. So banish. Say hello to Bestial Magma. And then that should be when the Welcome Labyrinth resolves. So we're going to go ahead and grab the deck here and take a look for some card that we want to go ahead and bring out. And the combos continue. So we actually haven't finished the effect yet of Labrynth. It's wholly possible, actually, to destroy the Guardian Chimera right now. And the way that the 2020 Master Rule update would go, possible that because it moved locations, it doesn't actually activate its effect in a new chain. Looks like Dahlia caught that, destroyed the card. Make sure that everything is functioning appropriately here. But we may actually not see any destruction or drawing. Yep, looks like everybody knows what's going on here. So we lost Ariana. But we also lost having to have our cards destroyed and having our opponent draw. So Dahlia must be feeling pretty decent right now. Strong monster defense, set cards on the field. Not exactly an active position, but at least a start. Looks like we're talking a little bit about our banish zone here. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a complex game after all. Popular choice, usually in the side decks this weekend. All right, so decent Labyrinth hand there. We got some traps, we got some monsters. We're gonna go ahead and discard that Coup Clock. And you can activate one normal trap card the turn it was set. Interesting way to just be like, I don't know, skill drain. Goodbye Stovey Torby and one additional card. Dogmatica Punishment. Dogmatica Punishment is a great card, but it's not always reliable if you're running it with Pot of Extravagance, because you may get rid of the targets that you really wanted to send to the graveyard. Gonna go ahead and set a card. Shuffle up. Special summon that Coup Clock. Of course, that happens because it was sent from the hand to the graveyard to activate a normal trap card. And so our next piece of the Labyrinth puzzle going to be our lovely lady, our lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. Now, we haven't seen as much of her. She prevents your opponent from activating monster effects in response to the activation of normal trap cards, which is going to be pretty helpful, but not foolproof. Speaking of not foolproof, we are seeing Bestial Magma sort of gobble up the Stovey Torby. Also going to set 4 cards. And then that'll go ahead and be destroyed, so goodbye, Fallen of Albaz. Dahlia's still playing her turn out, figuring out what she wants to do next. Of course, that destruction effect was brought to you by lovely Labyrinth. Taking a look at that Dogmatica Punishment, thinking maybe I do want this normal trap card back. Oh, the choices. You can see the hesitation. A tale of 2 trap cards. Thomas answering a question, Dahlia. Maybe that helps make that decision. Ah, so it's not going to be the Dogmatica Punishment. Sorry, Dogmatica. You are not the friends here. So no one's getting punished. Setting a card from the hand, and that's it. So really, really strong field, still have lovely Labyrinth, still have the ability to protect negations or activations. Looks like we're going to see that welcome Labyrinth immediately, though. It's like Ariana's back in action. Looks like we're going to use Ariana's effect as well. It's going to grab our Lady of the Silver Castle. And of course, she's got her quick effect to be special summoned in defense mode. And there it is. Still thinking about what we could do in response. Droll and Lockbird, good, but not super helpful if we're special summoning the cards as opposed to adding them to the hand. Chaos continues. Another trap card hits the board. This time it's big welcome Labyrinth. Gonna special summon a Labyrinth monster from the hand, deck, or graveyard, and then return a monster you control to the hand. Still figuring out what we want to do. Searching through the deck for the next effect. Do see those pots of extravagance. Maybe some drawing in our future. Very few spell cards overall, though. This is mostly a deck that is just traps and trap services. Our defense mode monster is... Ooh, no, we're going to put that in attack mode. And we're going to return Ariana to our hand. So 2 copies of our Lady Labyrinth. And 1 copy of our lovely Labyrinth. Of the Silver Castle, where all the action happens. Go ahead and set those cards. Ah, there we go. Destroying another card in the hand, and it's Droll and Lockbird. Wasn't going to be particularly helpful, so it's honestly maybe a good thing that Droll and Lockbird took the hit there. Discarding our Cuckoo Clock. Oh, and immediately when that Cuckoo Clock hits the graveyard, Drua's Worm has shown up to say no. You still Drua's Worm, of course, has its little companion there. I think we mistook it for Magnamud earlier, but no, that is clearly Drua's Worm. Thomas trying to think of what he's going to do here. Is finally his turn. He's going to activate Fusion Deployment. Going to go ahead and reveal a fusion. I mean, you don't have to do much in a Fallen of Elbaz deck. You can show any of those fusions. But it looks like it was Grand Guignol, and you're going to bring out Blazing Cartesia the Virtuous. Let's go ahead and get that Fusion Deployment in the graveyard. Now, do they dare? Dahlia pawing at the card pensively, thinking about whether or not she's going to activate it, but here it goes. It's Skill Drain. Paying 1,000 life points. And negating the effects of all monsters currently face up on the field. That's really going to change things. It's not going to stop the Drua's Worms, because when they're sent from the field to the graveyard, they can, of course, target a special summon monster your opponent controls and destroy them. Well, send them to the graveyard. But it may stop the other fusion friends and fiends that you see in the Fallen of Elbaz deck. Thomas going through his stack there. There's not really a lot that can help him, right? Once Skill Drain is up on the field, it'll even negate the effects of Jinzo, a monster who keeps traps from, well, doing their thing. But if Skill Drain gets there first, well, there's not a lot of options. We are going to Branded Fusion. Perhaps we just need a big monster at this point. But with that additional face-down card, while Skill Drain may be negating those effects, big monsters may not be enough. Looks like we're going to chain it, and that's going to be Dimensional Barrier. We're not even going to see a big monster. Assume we called Fusion there, since we're just sending Branded Fusion to the graveyard with no effect. Switching that Drua's Worm that was summoned last turn to defense mode. And attacking into that. Remember, Drua's Worm only has 2,500 attack points. So it'll go to the graveyard. but you do get to send a Labyrinth monster. There's no more set cards now, so the ladies could be sent to the graveyard, but there's 2 of them. So you really can't necessarily stop them from coming. They also are just numbers at this point. Their targeting effects do not work unless Skill Drain was destroyed, which is kind of a double-edged sword. If you destroy Skill Drain, all of a sudden you have activated, or at least put back online, all of the effects of your opponent's monsters again. And you get your effects back, but they get their effects back. Okay, we are going to go ahead and send the attack position 1. Still 2 great defending monsters, and Drua's Worm is able to take revenge on at least one of those special summon monsters if it happens to go to the graveyard. Dahlia drawing a new trap card. Taking a look at that graveyard, not really anything too much in there. Obviously, you know, if you could reuse the trap cards, that's great, but we're not seeing effects that can activate by banishing them from the graveyard. Those are going to go back in a neat little stack and set in front of the deck. Taking a quick look at Drua's Worm, verifying how it works. Trying to figure out what our Labyrinth monsters are up against. Special summoning obviously being a big deal. 2,000 defense is still pretty big too. Although Cartesia, not nearly as big. All right, Ariana's back. Remember, she was sent from the field to the hand. But that just means she can be reused again. Doesn't have an effect right now, right? Because skill drain, so you can almost hear that Master Duel negate sound in your head. That boom. We've all been there. Ash Blossom has happened to us at least one point in our Master Duel careers, huh? Still looking at the graveyard. Turning a monster to attack position. Might just be time to just beat up monsters, right? Bestials are big, but they're not invincible. So Ariana will do a little bit of damage to the Blazing Cartesia. No life point damage, of course. A little bit more battle over there for the Bestial Drua's Worm. Thomas taking a moment to think. The classic move would be to destroy the monster who is not currently attacking, so that you would not lose any more life points. It looks like we will use the Welcome Labyrinth to bounce that back to the hand instead. Traps continue. Special summoning that monster, because again, a trap effect was used to get a monster off the field. So Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle is pleased. Her subjects are doing exactly as she expected. Taking a quick look in that graveyard, we got our Drua's Worms. The Drua's Worms have really come through, especially in this sort of grindy matchup. Now this is interesting. Got our Despian Tragedy in attack mode. It's level 1. You could do some interesting stuff with a level 1 monster. But before that happens, Dharma Cannon flipping everything face down. Don't usually see that trap card. It was a really exciting ultra rare when it first came out. We're going to see a Welcome Labyrinth there before we even get to that draw. So what fine fiend will appear on this field? Feeling Stovey Torby, all right. Let Dahlia cook, right? A little bit of a shuffle there. Let's go ahead and get a cut from on Thomas' side. And Thomas is a little bit against it, right? 7,600 life points is high. I mean, what a perfect option there. Just Pot of Extravagance and no other cards to play. You can't possibly miss the beginning of your main phase in that way. You don't know how it works and why Dahlia might be shuffling her extra deck? 6 cards at random are banished. And you get to draw 2 cards. Now, of course, you can do 3 for 1 if you're feeling upstart goblin-y. We're going to go ahead and flip summon all those monsters that were flipped face down from the Dharma Cannon. Pretty big monsters. Oh, and another Ariana. Remember, of course, no effects from Ariana. but just big beaters will do it. Skill Drain's been a great card since Goblin Attack Force. Well, Goblin Attack Force came first, but you know what I mean. Despian Tragedy is going to hit the graveyard. Going to do some life point calculations here, bringing us down to 16, and Handshake, that is the game.